I can't tell you how many times I've met people that have come to Toronto and I tell them what my name is, and total strangers say to me, I lived in one of your buildings when I first came to Toronto. It was a great place to live and I can afford it. That to me is the most rewarding part, I think, of the Greenwin accomplishment. It's making the world a better place, and for all of us, that's really, I think, all our goals and objectives.
Now have you heard what's going on in Toronto? They're digging deeper, deeper, deeper every day. So proprietors are raving while they're tearing up the paving. The racket is nerve-wracking, so they say. And though the noise may be distressing, still construction is progressing, and we can't afford a further...
There was a need for young people, young blood, to work hard and to bring creative ideas. And with very little money, you could get started.
Al Latner, my father, Harold Green, and me. Turns out that Al Latner and I were really running the company, and Harold was doing the construction. I was in charge of planning, development, zoning, and Latner was in charge of financing and also with the zoning.
And Albert really was, in many ways, a rainmaker.
Each one of them added tremendously. They really complemented each other's talents. And when I think, for example, of what they did to change the face of this city, it's just phenomenal.
We're responsible for building a house that my father-in-law was going to move into. And we got thrown together as friends.
Our grandfather came over from Poland as a tradesman. He formed a contracting company with his sons. He had the good fortune to meet with the Weinstock family, very successful garment merchants.
And he said, let's go partners and we'll build some houses. And that's where Greenwin came from. Win is short for Weinstock.
The Greenwin boys owned everything from Yonge Street to Avenue Road, the north side of Pears Avenue, the south side of Roxborough, everything.
Toronto had a great construction boom, which was great for Toronto. However, it opened the door for rotating strikes.
There used to be tremendous annual construction strikes, labor strikes in Toronto. Some of them quite violent, in fact, and people getting hurt and so forth and so on.
And I think one of the great testaments to Greenwin was their relationship with the construction industry. They formed the Metropolitan Toronto Apartment Builders Association.
Harold took that whole situation in hand, and along with some of his friends and associates at the union,
negotiated directly with the union the first collective agreement. They brought in medical plans and dental plans. This is still going today.
And there hasn't been that kind of a general strike in construction for many, many, many years.
We were a magnet for each other. And you couldn't wait to come back to work. Every day was a joy.
Confusion never stops, closing walls and ticking clocks. Gonna come back and take you home. I could not stop the tune now, no singing. Come out upon my
the boys went down to repair a storefront, and my grandfather says, "Go park the truck inside the store. It's easier. You don't have to carry the materials as far." They said, "But Pa," and Pa says, "I don't want to hear any back talk." And the boys knew better than to argue with him. They said, "But Pa," Zeta said, "Boys, don't argue with me, put the truck inside, that's it." So they put the truck inside, they bricked up the whole front of the store.
And they finished the factory, and they learned that they actually left the truck inside the factory and they couldn't get the truck out.
When Pa came back at 5 o'clock to see what was going on, everybody got help because the truck was inside the store.
Building a baker's oven. One of the brothers made the mistake that day of falling asleep, and he got bricked in. And the stories go on and on. I mean, they put the wrong chimney on the wrong house.
And then when my father went to collect, I think we got $25 for the whole job. She says, "Who sent you?" And she says, "Your husband." And she says, "What are you talking about? My husband's been dead for 10 years.
And they spent the summer taking it down and putting it up.
together for 50 years. In 50 years, we've never voted once, never voted.
They all grew up on the street, and they knew how far you could push somebody without going over the line. You know, if you had a difference in viewpoint, you'd push that viewpoint pretty darn hard. But at the end of the day, you knew that the relationship and the mutual benefit that was a result of that relationship was more important than your own particular point of view.
We had some pretty strong arguments sometimes till we convinced each other of something.
But at the end of the day, they all loved each other. And I can say that right up until today, which is probably 60 years after they first started together.
We never spent really a lot of time fighting over ideas. I had no trouble selling them my idea. They had no trouble selling us. We were looking for the goodness of the three of us.
If you believe they put a man on the moon, man on the moon. If you believe there's nothing up their sleeve, then nothing is cool.
Most people in Toronto think that the three partners were families because of the long-standing partnership and the way they interacted.
It was an opportunity to get in on the ground floor of design, development, subdividing, and we did.
They respected each other, and they worked together. And I don't know if a lot of development companies can really say that they've been together for that many years.
A good partnership depends on the integrity of the partners. It depends on the ability of the apartments. It depends on the viability of the thing they're going into.
We formed what I would say was probably the finest partnership you can imagine.
But they really did change the face of the city, and they did it. I don't know how they did it. They just knew what they were doing, and they did it.
When I drive by the buildings, I feel pretty good, especially when I got one of the little guys with me, and I take a look, says, Zadie built that. And wow, that's a big building. So, well, Zadie did a lot of building in his time.
I would say that really what makes me most proud, if you look at each of those families, the giving back to community, I think was probably the most important thing they taught to us.
I don't have to walk for more than 2 minutes in the heart of Toronto without seeing some way that Greenwin and these three guys have contributed to the welfare of this city, whether it's in terms of buildings they've built, planning that they've achieved, art that they put up, people that they've helped. Just the fact of providing affordable housing for people in a day when there wasn't really good quality affordable housing is an amazing achievement that people and governments and organizations are striving for, not as successfully today as they did in the old days.